Well, the time for encouraging words is upon us, and I have kept my word. I think. I promised last Wednesday that I would give an encouraging word that was actually just encouraging, and there wasn't really a downside to it. And so I have done my best to find a good passage for all of us to truly be encouraged by the word of God. Encouraging word for today comes from Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 7. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. What a marvelous, marvelous passage. Such rich wisdom, instruction, guidance. There's love here. There's protection. Everything is found, I think, in these verses as it pertains to God and to the children that he loves. The passage tells us to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and lean not on our own understanding. And I realize when you look at these verses 5 through 7, and you think about it in smaller segments, that each declaration that is made for us to follow and obey is a challenge. And it's something that we have to settle and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to be. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. The Lord is not saying to us, don't think, stop thinking, shut your brain off, just follow the Lord with your heart only. He knows that we think and we reason and we make decisions minute by minute throughout our lives. But the bigger picture is trust in the Lord. Depend on what he said. Let that be the light for your life. And don't lean on your own understanding, because circumstances, pressures, fears, all kinds of things creep in and change the way we perceive things. And so if we trust in the Lord with all of our heart, and we don't lean fully upon our own understanding in each individual case, then we are more likely to make the right decision, to make the godly decision, even in the most challenging situations. The children of Israel learned this lesson for 40 years in the wilderness. They learned to trust God and to put their own thoughts and ideas aside. At least they should have. If they would have been watching and paying attention, instead of complaining, they would have been learning about his love, his care, and his leadership for them. In Numbers chapter 9, beginning in verse 16, it says, "So it was, always, the cloud covered the tabernacle by day, and the pillar of fire by night. Whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle, after that the children of Israel would journey, and in the place where the cloud settled, there the children of Israel would pitch their tents. At the command of the Lord, the children of Israel would journey, and at the command of the Lord they would camp. As long as the cloud stayed above the tabernacle, they remained encamped. Even when the cloud continued long, many days above the tabernacle, the children of Israel kept the charge of the Lord, and they did not journey." There's a picture of trusting in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding, not the weather, not what other nations are doing, not who you spoke to today, but what the Lord has said. And that pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire was a testimony to them as to what they should be doing in the moment. And so they leaned not on their own understanding. They trusted in the Lord when they obeyed what he was telling them to do. The next part of Proverbs 3 says, "In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." There's two key words in this phrase that I think are very important. In all your ways, that word ways is very, very important to what's being said. It is what you do each and every day. Where are you going? Where are you headed right now? Who are you going to talk to? Who do you plan to spend time with? In all of your ways, acknowledge him. So as you go and as you do things, acknowledge that the Lord, he is God, and we trust in him with all of our heart. And the second part of this phrase is, he shall direct your paths. It is in the acknowledgement of God and what he has said that direction is provided. So as I acknowledge him, he provides the direction that I need for my path. Again, the children of Israel being led by God, not knowing where they were going. It's a perfect picture of someone who's acknowledging God and God being the one who directs their paths. When I see this commandment and I think about it, I can always see a small child moving through uncharted territory. They're walking through something one step at a time. They're trying to be careful, but they're constantly looking back to their loving Father for direction, where to step next, where should I go, am I headed in the right place? And also for the encouragement that the Father would provide to say, you've got it, keep going, you're in the right place, that's exactly where you should be, press on, move forward. And having that confirmation from the Father, acknowledging Him, the child, no matter how young, as long as they can walk, they are being guided or directed by their loving Father. Jeremiah 10 and verse 23, Jeremiah says, O Lord, I know the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man who walks to direct his own footsteps. That is a passage that is used often to show that man is hopelessly lost without God's guidance. I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man who walks to direct his own footsteps. As a matter of fact, the more man is prideful and puffed up about the path that he has chosen for himself, the worse off he becomes. And most times he doesn't even see it. So Jeremiah 10:23, we use it all the time and we say, yeah, there you go. He cannot direct his own footsteps. And we use that to show the fallacy or the foolishness of what other people are doing. But listen to verse 24. I don't ever hear this quoted. Jeremiah 10:24, O Lord, correct me, but with justice, not in your anger, lest you bring me to nothing. Jeremiah says, I know that it is not within man to guide his own footsteps, and then he immediately turns it to himself. It's not for others that he's watching, although it applies. He turns it back to himself, and he says, Lord, correct me according to your loving kindness, not according to your anger, because that would melt me into nothing. You know, and I think as Christians, when we look at Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 7, we tell ourselves, yes, Lord, I understand what that passage is saying. I trust you with all of my heart. I've been working on this within and without. I'll follow your commandments and I will follow your wise counsel no matter what. And then he speaks to us and he says, if you look at a woman and lust for her, you have already committed adultery with her in your heart. And we say almost immediately, no, Lord, that can't be true. He's not done, though. He will say to us again, if someone slaps you on the cheek, turn and offer the other cheek to him also. And we say, this is too hard, Lord. I can't put all of my trust in you. I can't trust you in all my ways, just some of my ways. I like it when it works out for me, but I cannot turn the other cheek to someone who has hit me in the face. But he's not finished. Love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. And pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Really, Lord, is this really your way? Unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and of the Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. I can't be that righteous. And you know, with all of the difficult sayings that Jesus has given to us, the commandments that he's given to us, all the ones I just read from are in Matthew chapter 5. Jesus has a lot more to say to us about what we should do and who we should be as we give our heart and our mind to him in full confidence and trust. It's a true challenge, and it really does apply. It applies to me and it applies to you right now. In Matthew 12, he says, for every idle word that a man speaks, he will give account of it in the day of judgment. That is very hard. As we get to the final phrase in Proverbs chapter 3, it ends by saying, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Do not be wise in your own eyes. So basically, we have to be humble, and we know that's a New Testament commandment. 1 Peter 5, Peter tells us, God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Well, there it is. I've got to be humble, and I have to do it myself. I have to humble myself and remove pride. I have 3 verses from Jeremiah 9. I'm going to mix them up, but just watch what this says to us. Jeremiah 9 in verse 23 says, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom. Let not the mighty man glory in his might, nor let the rich man glory in his riches. Verse 22 says, even the carcasses of men shall fall as refuse on the open field, like cuttings after the harvester, and no one shall gather them. So, the things we trust in and have confidence in, they're growing old, they're fading away, they will die like the flower of the field. And God says no one's even going to gather them up. So in verse 24, the conclusion is, let him who glories glory in this. You're going to have confidence in something? Let it be this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord, exercising loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these I delight, says the Lord. In what? What does he delight? He delights in those who glory in him, not in themselves. And so the very final statement for us in Proverbs 3, 5 through 7, depart from evil. You know what's wrong? You know the things that are wrong and what you should not be doing? Most of it, I'm sure, we stay away from and we keep clear. Some of it has seeped in or has become a part of our daily lives. Depart from that which is evil. Paul tells us in Romans that we are to abhor evil and to cling to that which is good. 2 Timothy 2:19 says this, the solid foundation of God stands, having this seal, the Lord knows those who are his, and let everyone who names the name of Christ depart from iniquity. Let's read our encouraging words together. Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 7. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil.